Good afternoon, good evening, and good morning from wherever you are, and welcome to our Thor, Love and Thunder, the aftermath of the Incels. And joining me are Kodja Pandonkey, or Panda Donkey, and Zam. Hello, guys. Hope you are well.
Fine,
I'm
thank
doing
you.
all
How are
right.
you?
Great, fantastic. Now, with everything that is going on in the MCU and the direction that it's kind of heading in with bringing in the new wave of characters after the events of Endgame, there is, of course, a contingent of people that are pissing and moaning like there's no tomorrow. Comes with the territory. Some criticisms can be valid, others you're like, you just being a big baby. And at the head of the totem pole, as always, you can always find the Fandom Menace. You know, your quarterings, your nerdrotic, Star Wars girls, etc., and all of that. And they've had meltdowns over Thor, Love and Thunder, especially with Valkyrie wearing a suit and being called King, and Natalie Portman popping up at the end as Thor. Now, I couldn't really bring myself to watch the streams and all of that, but my other co hosts here put themselves through the ringer and tortured themselves with a lot of the stuff. But I can kind of guess where this is going. Now, I've written some notes on the overall thing of the MCU, but guys, I want to know what's kind of bothering you about what these lots said. And Zam, I will start with you, and then Gary, and then we'll break down the kind of silliness that is surrounding their outrage. So, Zam, if you want to take it away.
First of all, it's very clear to see that being a British person but not being white, I'm considered to be an ethnic minority. I am part of that diversity quota, so to speak. And when I hear these fuckers talking about diversity being forced and it's an agenda, it isn't. We exist. People like me fucking exist. We are part of this planet. I share it with you fuckers. So when they see people like me in media, and very rarely do people like me ever end up in Hollywood media anyway, they have a problem with this. Let alone somebody who's their same fucking race, like Natalie Portman is playing Jane Foster in Thor, because they have an issue with her playing somebody who's not a damsel in distress this time around. They have an issue with that. They have an issue with me watching them talk about all of these things. They go on about fucking beta males. These motherfuckers are the biggest fucking beta males of the lot. They complain about everything. And so when I see all of this culminated together, it's very depressing that I share a planet with these motherfuckers. There's nothing good to come from this. We all knew Jane Foster was good to be playing female for years ago. This is not new news. And they act really surprised when they see her on screen. We knew that Valkyrie was going to be taking up the leadership role for the Asgardians at the end of Endgame. This isn't new. So they have an issue with this, even though they shouldn't, but they do, because she's also wearing a fucking suit as well. And also the fact that Valkyrie being played by the gorgeous Tessa Thompson, but she happens to be black, and so they have an issue with that as well. The like the issues they have are non-issues for me, but they're so used to having the status quo. I mean, if you are going to have a token black guy, make sure he's dead within the first fucking 5 minutes of the movie, because we don't want to see him anymore. If you are going to have a woman, make sure she's a damsel in distress, falling over, needing to be saved by the man, because anything else is wokeness. It's very fucking depressing, and the fact that they sometimes feel that some of the men being displayed on our screens as well are incompetent, like maybe Thor having to find himself again, which I do understand. He does feel like he has to find himself all the fucking time. But nevertheless, they think that some of these male characters are incompetent and they're not alpha enough. They're too fucking beta. It's ridiculous. I don't understand what world they're living in. It just makes no sense. Is the product good? Are we watching any? Is it going to be fun? Is it going to be entertaining? Regardless of all these characters, and women do fucking exist. Other races of people do fucking exist. They do share this fucking planet with us. Why do you have such a fucking problem with us being in media and films and stuff like that? It's not an issue. This is no fucking forced diversity. We're not. There's no agenda here. But for them, it is an agenda. It's like, come on. It just it's very upsetting seeing all of this. I mean, I thought we would be better than this. It was 2022, for fuck's sake. We should be past all of this sort of stuff. But no, we're still having to fight these fucking culture war issues, which are nothing issues in my opinion.
Okay, thank you very much, Zan. That's very, very passionate rant. I love it.
Thank you.
Koja, your thoughts?
Well, the thing is that I can't remember how long ago it was. I think it's got to be 2008, 2009, when like Oscar, I think it was the Oscars or something like that, where people were complaining about whitewashing. That the whole Oscars, it was just not a person of color. There wasn't a woman. It was all seemed to be white men. And now the skills are not being ticked, but they're being addressed somewhat. That more people of different ethnicities, of different faiths, of different genders, of different sexualities, even, are being depicted in the media is a problem. Why is it a problem? It's fiction. If you don't like it, if you don't like a certain depiction of something, don't watch something. I like, for example, the things that I don't like. Do you know what I don't do? I don't watch those particular products, and it has nothing to do with them depicting something. It's just because, let's say, for example, I started watching a show a couple of days ago, got 2 episodes into it, and even though people have been saying it's a great show, you should get into it. I think it was that show. Oh, what was the show? It's the one with Brenda Preston in it, where she played. Was it Vera or something? I watched 2 episodes of it. And it doesn't do with Brenda Preston. She's a great actress. It's just that the way they would do the show, the plot, just wasn't for me. And I could tell it wasn't for me. Do you know what I didn't do? I didn't get on the internet and start saying, how dare they make this program? It's like, people who want to enjoy that show can enjoy it. It's just not for me personally. Why not do the same? No, it's because they think that there's this anti-white racism out there that, again, is totally bullshit. Because the thing is, the president of the United States is white. The prime minister of Great Britain is white. Majority of the world leaders are white. Most people in Hollywood who have actual power, your producers, or no, there's very few people of who are black or Asian or Middle Eastern who have that sort of power in Hollywood. The people with power are white people. The thing is, now that sort of thing is getting addressed, where people of different ethnicities have got power, not only got power, but also got positions where they're depicted as heroes, so that people of those minorities can see them not depicted as thugs or people who are going to go around gang banging. And I mean, when I mean gang banging, I don't mean sex. I mean like you're going around in
No, we
cars
know what you
shooting
mean.
people and do drive-bys and shit like that. But they're depicted as being heroic, going out there doing their jobs, going out there saving people. What kind of minority is not going to be influenced to that? Say, hey, I want to be better in my community. I want to do the same thing that Sam Wilson is doing, or what Valkyrie is doing, or whatever. I know Valkyrie's not like that in the comics. In comics, she's this blonde chick with like a weird helmet. But hey, not everything in the comics has to be exactly the way it is on screen because they've been comics in the past. I never heard people moan about it now, but because it's a minority, it's suddenly a problem. I think it's gross. I think it's racist, to be honest with you. But hey, what do I know?
Right. Thank you. Thanks for that, Koja or Gary. Now, so one thing I want to hit on. So when we're talking about now, you lot know me. I'm a comic book purist. I like things to be as they are in the comics depicted on screen. However, I've openly stated when you have something like Asgard in the MCU universe, you cannot really tie it to a single race given it's such a gross amount of gods and things like that. So when they made like Heimdall black and Valkyrie mixed race, Tessa's mixed race by the way, she's not black. All right. When they did these kind of changes are fine. When Hanzo was Asian and all this, you know, you can't just have it all white when they're supposed to be like gods worshipped and all this kind of stuff. You got to mix it up, especially when there's been no effort made into bringing in African gods or any kind of research done on African gods. So if you're not going to make that effort and it's too late now, it's good to kind of mix it up. Like we saw in the trailer that they go to Olympia as well. We see Zeus, which I'm hoping we get Hercules as well, but in there, I wouldn't expect all of those Greeks and the Greek gods kind of thing to be all white. I want them to be like Greek and Middle Eastern looking and have a black mix and all this kind of thing because you got to tweak it a little bit so that it represents Earth rather than, its real Earth origins. For example, in comic book world, you could tweak things like that. What I don't want is I don't want to see, say, like Black Widow suddenly be a man or things like that, but they have like a teammate and all this kind of stuff. Or what we had that was wrong was obviously we had they did do this diversity push where they tried to replace legacy characters with other characters, but that was a flop. We know that, and but some things stuck, and some things were done really, really well, and other things were like, oh, it's so desperate. Like Riri's Ironheart was like, that's just desperate. But Thor, what it did really well was with Jane, and I hope they do this in the film. Is in the comic books, she's dying of cancer, and Thor, in Original Sin, he loses the use of Mjolnir. Now, Mjolnir is aware of Jane because of the connection that Donald and Jane have in the comic books, and vis-a-vis Thor as well, who they kind of depict. And so that's how Mjolnir forms a connection with Jane and then goes to her and deems her worthy and saves her from dying and all this kind of stuff. See, that was done really, really well. And it was really, really well done uh, comic book. And I actually want to see that, even though I'm the purist here, I want to see that depicted in the film. I want to see what they do with it. And I think that they could do it really, really well if they go down that route. And I've lost my trail of thought. But like I said, I'm a purist, but you can always make exceptions. Again, like with Asgard and with Thor, because again in the comic books, and people aren't discussing this. I know they've tweaked it in the MCU, so it's going to be interesting to hear. Donald Blake becomes Thor. So in the comic books, Jane becomes a god, and Thor gives his name to Jane, and he just becomes Odin's son. All right, so it could happen here, where he just goes off, becomes Odin's son, and all that. Though in the comic books he lost his worthiness. I don't know how they're going to do it here. But Gary, sorry, you wanted to say something?
I was just going to say, like, to me, it doesn't really matter if the actor's right for the role. It doesn't matter if they're black, white, pink, green, purple. It doesn't really matter. I mean, I understand if it's like your Black Panther, he's supposed to be a black man in Africa. Okay, that's fine. But if it's like, I don't know, like for example, like if he's a good actor, like for example, all right, I'll give you something for.
I mean, the
like,
Ant-Man character could be any race.
Right. I'll give you a perfect
I mean?
example of what I mean. Right. Again, I was by no means racist when this happened, but I'll give you an example of what I mean. I was a little bit hesitant when I heard that Michael Clark Duncan was going to play Kingpin in the Daredevil movie, because Kingpin has always been this fat white guy with a massive round circular head. But then Michael Clark Duncan does it.
Oh, your mic's gone, Gary.
Your mic's gone.
You're on mute now, Gary. Say something. No.
Hello?
No.
Oh, what was that? Say something again. You're lagging a bit. You might have some applications open.
Okay, I'll try closing to double check.
Yeah, close the maps
Okay.
because then we can hear you a bit better.
I'm just going to finish off what your thought, Gary. I believe.
No, but I'll talk about like Michael Clark Duncan as Kingpin in Daredevil was one of the best things about Daredevil. I always thought he was phenomenal as Kingpin. Now that wasn't because I was racist. That's because I'd read enough of the comics to know him as a big fat white guy. But they got the right actor to do that role. They got, even though Vincent D'Onofrio is, I think, pretty decent as Kingpin in the series. I know he's no longer with us, but I've always preferred Michael Clark Duncan doing it because he's like this quite calm, only does violence when he has to, he isn't, prone to anger, he's all about business and stuff like that. I prefer that depiction of Kingpin and Michael Clark Duncan's depiction of Kingpin better than Vincent D'Onofrio's. That has nothing to do with colour. That has to do with the essence of the character. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes
Yeah,
sense.
I just want to add that I feel like some of this outrage culture towards all of these things that we're seeing in media nowadays is definitely a recent thing, something that's come through social media and a way for certain dickhead YouTubers to get clicks. Because in all honesty, these same fuckers had probably no issue with Sigourney Weaver playing a very strong female character in the Aliens movies. I mean, she's fucking superb in those films, and I love those fucking films. I wouldn't want to change it. These people probably don't have any issue with Wesley Snipes playing Blade. You know, here we are focusing on this African American superhero. You know, no issues with that at all. So why are they all of a sudden having issues with strong female characters and people of a different race in media right now? And not just these people, but people who in my opinion are speaking against their own best interest. When you see other female YouTubers going on about, you know, stuff being too woke and stuff like that, you're speaking against your own shit here. You have a platform yourself, you fucking dumb bitch. Maybe you should fucking close your fucking channel, get your fucking pots and pans out, and get back in the kitchen. Then what the fuck are you doing on YouTube? And then you got people like Tyrone Magnus, who I actually called a fucking idiot on his channel, because when he saw the recent trailer of Thor: Love and Thunder, he said it was forced diversity and woke. Where is that in that fucking trailer of forced diversity and woke?
It's
By the way,
Meek.
folks,
It's because they got Meek in there. Fucking Meek putting bugs in bloody the MCU. I'm sick of this shit.
The thing is, Tyrone Madness is a black guy.
Yeah, I know, but that's you get people like him, and you get people like Dave Rubin and people like that speaking against their own best interest. People like Blair White as well, the right wing conservative transgendered woman who's anti fucking transgendered. You know, you get people like that. They're fucked in their head. You know, unfortunately, you know, and they will speak against their own best interest because that's where the fucking clicks are. That's where the fucking money is. You know, this outrage culture over nothing to get outraged. I'm obviously people call me hypocritical, us hypocritical. Sorry, Penny, by being outraged ourselves. But we're trying to fight for the greater good here. We don't want people to get upset that other people fucking exist. That's all it is. Sorry, Penny.
No, I just wanted to say on your things on like Dave Rubin and all that. These are people they don't really have any convictions, and they'll sway whichever way the money is at the end of the day. So they are narcissists who only care about themselves, and whatever message they'll spew out, they don't care, but they have no idea how much damage it does and further adds to the cultural divide. And this is all this is.
I mean,
This is just go on, Gary.
I was going to say, well, a lot of these actors who because these channels, I mean, we're talking about, they don't get like 1,000, 2,000 views or subscribers. They get millions of views. So some of these people will go to these actors who are already doing their jobs. They've already been cast to do that job. They've not cast themselves. They've not written this crap. They're just there to act it, just to make a living, to make a crust. And they get hateful messages saying, "Oh, you're doing this, and you shouldn't be doing this because you're this." It's like, no, it's like I'm doing a job because I want to provide for me and my family, or for myself, or whatever, because I like doing the art. If they want to do it for themselves, who are you to say they can't? And that's the thing that pisses me off. It's like, dude, they're doing a job. And tell a bet if someone came to your job and start going, "Do you know what? I don't think you should be doing your job. I think it should be like a Mexican midget or something like that." And start moaning. It's like. Heaven's sake, like the thing is, let these people do what they want to do, and if they enjoy doing it, stop rooting for them by race baiting them.
Yeah,
it really pisses me off. Sorry.
Like Geeks and Gamers, he would do before he blew up to what he is now. He would do reviews and stuff like that, the same way we do. You know, do reviews on YouTube regarding certain new games coming out and stuff like that. And he'd probably get a handful of thousand views, maybe 5,000-6,000. Something, honestly, we would love to fucking get ourselves. If we had 5,000-6,000 views a video, I'd be fucking doing cartwheels. But that's all he would get, and that wasn't enough for him. And then he made a video on Brie Larson, you know, and then next thing you know, he's getting like 250,000 fucking views. And that's where he realized the money's at, or that's where the popularity is at, making Brie Larson videos. And he did 60 of them, more than 60 fucking, God knows how many he's made since, actually. The last time I checked, he made over 60 anti-Brie Larson videos. It is fucking ridiculous. You know, like, you might have issues with certain characters and stuff like that, but to go on that much, it just shows that you're grifting. You know what I mean? You've got even obsession, you're grifting.
But also, there's a very strong misogynistic part of YouTube, and I don't mean like part as in part of the actual company. I mean part as in there was a entire like video thing about we hate women, we hate minorities. So there's kind of undercurrent of racism there as well. Because the thing is,
I mean, look,
you know,
look,
so I'm going to say something now, and it's not been the way that I'm going to say it, but you should know your place, and you can't see the pictures by the time. You have to be the guy in the background. You have to be the best friend of the hero, but you can't actually be the hero. This is the thing that I hate. It said, but I've never heard one of them talk about Big Trouble in Little China, where Kurt Russell, despite being cast as the main character, is the sidekick to the main hero in front of the thing. Maybe that's what needs to happen. You need to have like a white guy who's actually the sidekick, and we see things. But the actual hero is a minority. It's a black guy,
Green
or
Hornet
guy,
being a prime example.
Exactly, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Well, sorry.
Like, see, a lot of the issues are as well is we have generations of people who, you know, these men that didn't have a platform before, these misogynists, they didn't have a platform before. They have it now. And unfortunately, there is a lot of people that share that sentiment. And once you grasp onto that and you get those clicks and you get those views, so a prime example would be someone like Jimmy Dore, who is a left-wing political commentator, but he's very careful in how he crafts his stuff because he only gets a right-wing audience because the left-wing audience just see him for a thick little fragile idiot that he is. And so he crafts things very, very carefully. Only in doing that, he's caused a lot of misinformation and damage when it comes to the vaccine and all this, because he told a very careful line of, oh, look, cases are still going up, even though people are jabbed. But what he always failed to mention was the deaths were right down because of the jab. So this kind of narrative, this is why I say it's dangerous. When you go down this route, when you have no real convictions and you just want the clicks, is you're going to start spewing out whatever bollocks. And I guarantee you, anytime you mention anything remotely left-wing, you get a plethora of right-wingers that will spout the exact same things. You can do right-wing bingo to it when it comes to things like diversity and trans rights and all of this. And again, this is the weaponization of the culture war, and it's seeped into everything. And it's so everyone's so heightened up. The tension is so there that the smallest thing draws a crowd. So, prime example, when we had the Brie Larson, this was Marvel's first female-led film, okay, which was long in the making. They were dragging their heels on it, but as soon as we did, there was this fervor, this like, oh my god, oh no, look at shit, boring, fucking, what is this shit? Oh, she said this 10 years ago. What the fuck? And they melted down. We had Wonder Woman, and nobody said shit about Wonder Woman. So what made Captain Marvel so special? Is it because she didn't wear a skirt? You know, is it because people just don't connect with Carol Danvers, but they do with Wonder Woman because of Linda Carter back in the 70s? It just draws in this weird crowd of people that are so caught up in this culture war that they'll latch onto anyone in their echo chamber just to feel some kind of longing rather than seeing the bigger picture. That's just a massive distraction. So you don't focus on the elites and the rich just fucking you over on a daily basis. And our culture, the nerd culture, has bore one of the biggest brunts of this toxic culture war on both sides. To be fair, I don't just want to attack the right on this. But it gets to the point where the reason we make this video is because here we have a clip of a woman in a suit and a woman as Thor, and people have lost their bloody minds. Moon Knight is out, and Moon Knight has made quite a few changes to its origins in terms of the suit and all this kind of stuff. Radio silence. Nobody is saying anything on Moon Knight. The hypocrisy is driving me mental. We get a 1 minute, 30-second trailer, and we've got 20 videos talking about Thor and whether Natalie Portman's arms are real, and why is Tessa wearing a fucking suit, and why is she not called Black Valkyrie, or why is she called King? Understand just how pathetic the argument is, and just like I have to question their masculinity. They don't have masculinity. They think they are masculine, but what they are is
Fragile.
a bunch of fragile man babies that are just scared of anything different and anything strong. And that's all I have to say there. Move to you guys.
Well, the thing is that like I always wondered why it was that we were waiting for the Black Widow movie for so long. I mean, like, because when was she first introduced? I was going to say she was introduced in Iron Man 2. When was that? 2007, 8 maybe?
No,
10.
8, 7.
2010.
No, Iron Man 2 was around 2008, 2007.
2008 was Iron Man.
2008.
2008 was the
Iron Man.
first Iron
What was
Man.
it?
2009 was Captain America. No, Thor, and then
No, it was Hulk.
Hulk. Sorry, and
Right.
then it had.
So
Thor
it's been
and
a good 11. So we only got the Black Widow movie 10 years after she got introduced. Let's call it 10. And the thing is that they were talking about it for ages, and I always wondered why they were so afraid to pull the trigger on it. And then after I saw what Brie Larson got, I understood that she would get nothing but hate. It's because they were invested in this universe. Whereas with DC, they really had been invested. DC had been putting out movies, but not the movies that some people didn't like. Which I actually will defend Man of Steel. I think Man of Steel is a good movie. But people are invested in this universe, and we can't have a woman be in this universe where it's full of men that we like. It's just like, heaven's sake, grow up. And the thing is, because we've got Pepper Potts, she's a strong woman. We've got Flaming. And actually, doesn't like Pepper Potts wear a lot of like suits? She doesn't really wear a lot of dresses, really.
No, she wears dresses,
She
but they're not short.
She wears a lot of power
they're
suits.
knee
She wears a lot of power suits as well. Yeah, she wears a lot of power suits as well.
But
but she was a side character, not playing a hero.
A lot of women are quite strong in the MCU, and people have, and because of that, people have an issue with it. Even the ones who are damsels in distresses, like Pepper Potts at times, are strong. You know what I mean? She's a strong fucking character. You see it on several occasions putting Tony in a fucking place. I mean, nobody had an issue with fucking Carrie Fisher's Leia in Star Wars being like that, but they have an issue with some of the more modern women being like that. No one had an issue, like I said, with Ripley being like that, but they have an issue with the women of today being like that. And what you said regarding Moon Knight is spot on, Panny, because we've seen the Ms. Marvel trailer, and people are losing their shit over that. We obviously have to make
not only is she a woman, she's also a minority. She's an Asian, but not only that, she's a Muslim. Oh no!
Yeah, exactly. Like I heard who said. I forgot who said that. Aren't they supposed to be the enemy? Somebody said. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck?
Jesus fucking Christ.
This is what.
I thought people moved on from Muslims for it to be the trans community now.
Oh yeah.
They have, but they still occasionally go back to that well.
Yeah, but the fact that basically they're shitting on Kamala Khan because her powers are a little bit different to how they are in comics and and that video game where she's like the main character and so on. But these like some of these characters, they're not that well renowned, compared to some of the other ones within the MCU. So there is a chance to like deviate a little bit here and there. And plus with Reed Richards coming in the future, the last thing we need is two people with the exact fucking same powers. So I'm happy with these little changes here and there. It gives her a bit more of a unique identity.
Yeah. So a prime example with Miss Marvel is I said it before we even saw anything. I said I hope they tweak her origins, because the origins in their comics was actually a very dark time and a very stupid move by the owner of Marvel Comics and Disney at the time, which was to try and kill off all the X-Men and the mutants and replace them with the Humans, because they have the rights to that. And then they can license that out and use it in films and all that. See, the films have kind of been a detriment to the comics because a lot of changes have been made there. However, Miss Marvel was one of the ones that kind of stuck around. They did well by her and all of that, and it is an important character because it's a Pakistani Muslim. It is solely needed in there, and I'm glad they've tweaked the origins of her powers in this one. Okay, they've gone in a way I didn't expect, which is to go cosmic, but that's absolutely fine as long as I don't get Terrigen mists and Inhumans getting created instead of mutants, for example. There's nothing wrong with that. That's a good tweak. And to that point as well, her powers were similar to Reed Richards because they were also they killed off and stopped doing the Fantastic Four at the time. So there was nobody else with stretchy powers like hers. You know, it wasn't just the X-Men that bore the brunt of it. It was a Fantastic Four. But with them coming back, it makes sense to tweak her powers and make her cosmic. So you've got the Marvels that's going to come out, and you're going to have your Quasar and America Chavez. That's like that film. What they're trying to keep under wraps so people don't lose their shit. I think there's going to be like 4 female leads in that film, and if it looks good and it's beautiful, it's going to be great. You wait till that trailer drops, and people are going to lose their fucking minds. They're going to have a meltdown.
Yeah.
But it makes sense. Like, again, if people were like, "Oh no, this should be like in the comic book," it's like, okay, then. So is she going to be the first ever mutant in the MCU? People will lose their shit if she's the official first mutant in the MCU. Is she going to be an Inhuman? People will lose their shit if she's an Inhuman. If they bring in the Terrigen Mist, people will lose their shit. So going cosmic with her powers actually is good damage control in the long run.
Yeah, they can't go down those routes because they've nipped them in the bud earlier on. You know, it's impossible. So this is how it is. I mean, people should be aware of these things. And how often are movies and television shows ever 100% exactly the same as the source material? In a way, it's almost impossible for it to be so. And you know, like when we got Civil War, for instance, Captain America Civil War, even though it was not similar in the sense of following the same sort of story arc as in the comics, it still had that same sort of heart, that same sort of feel. You know what I mean? You know, a group of good guys split into 2 factions fighting against each other. I felt that, you know what I mean? And it felt very similar to those comics. So as long as it gives you that vibe that it's still harnessing the heart and soul of what the comic books are, I'm totally fine with that. And I understand that things have to be tweaked and changed here and there. You know, so that's how it has to be.
Sorry.
1 second.
You go ahead.
I'll come in on that. So, prime example, you're never going to get some like big events like Civil War. You're never going to get them exactly how they were in the comic book. You're not. And they did this one because it was off the back of, obviously, Batman versus Superman was announced. So it was a bit of a knee-jerk action by the MCU to kind of put, you know, Captain America, Civil War. But it was done really, really well. And the repercussions of that were felt for quite some time. Sure, it will never be as big an event as it was in the comic book because there weren't enough characters established to make it as big as it was. But they worked with what they had and they did it really, really well. Secret Invasion is coming out soon as well, which was another big event and a really good big event. That I am worried about, but again, that's from a story point of view, not for anything else. But you know, you work with what you got. You're never going to make everything exactly how it is in the comic books, which is what you were alluding to. And as long as it's good, people will forgive you for it. It's simple as that.
Yeah, and we are getting, you know, like the continuity in these films it is like watching a live comic. You know, you mentioned I knew about Civil War being a reaction to Batman versus Superman, but look how effortlessly it fits into the overall arc after after Age of Ultron and before everything else. It's such a important piece to that fucking puzzle. You know what I mean? Because like Captain America and Tony Stark, they don't see each other again until Endgame. You know what I mean? It's such a significant thing. You know, like they really don't. They genuinely don't.
No, they don't see each other. I think until oh yeah, Endgame. Sorry, yeah, Endgame was after Infinity
Endgame.
War. Yeah.
After Captain Marvel saves him in space. Sorry, boss
I
man.
was just going to say, like, but again, like, I'm okay with it because the thing is that the comics versions of the Infinity Gauntlet and Civil War, I always thought they were done better in film because Civil War kind of
Not
the
Civil War. No,
registration.
I disagree with Civil War. But anyway, go on.
But Civil War is a great film. But again, like, I think in the comic books, from what I remember, because again, I do have it somewhere. It was the pro registration side has a bunch of cunts. Like they basically come off like, we want we're gonna do whatever. It's like, dude, the anti registration side are making good points here that what you're doing is nerfing a lot of what they do. And you try to put people because people are afraid. And the thing is, what it takes for the anti-registration side to go down is the enemy. Whereas in the film, you can see it from both sides. You can see Roger's side, you can see Tony Stark's side. Tony Stark is, we need to do this. Whereas it's like, no, I want to do this because this is what's going to be good for people. You can see both sides. You may agree with one side on one thing, you may agree with that there's more about it. Again, it's not exactly as the comics, but it's different. And again, it's not a bad different. Whereas Batman v Superman did the Dark Knight Returns, or what's it? Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah, Batman vs. Shoehorn.
Yeah, shoehorn.
That was
boring.
It was I mean, there's parts of Batman vs Superman I like.
Made up pros.
Director's cut is better, by the way. If you watch the director's cut, it's far superior. But you see more Clark Kent. You see more Clark Kent in it being an investigator, trying to find out who the Batman is. But other than that, you're breaking up a little bit.
As I said, I think the film. I think Superman. Sorry.
Go on. Keep talking, boss man.
I was just going to say, well, again, like the thing is that
keep talking, guys. Ignore me.
It's a better film than Batman v Superman, as much as it pained me as a DC fan to say so. And the thing is that Justice League, the 3-hour version, was a great film. I mean, I think it's up there with. I mean, I think it's a really, really good film. But the thing is that it's not like the comics of the Justice League, or because the thing is that what Justice League needs to be is the antithesis of the Avengers. Just be a bit more gritty, a bit more darker, but have Superman be the light character, be the one who is, no, this is the way we need to do it. Have fucking dark side.
It needs a reboot, in my opinion. I mean, they fucked up too much.
Yeah, also, we're getting a bit of tangent.
Go back to what.
We're getting a bit.
Go back to what we're talking.
Go back to a bit of tangent now.
Yeah.
I just want to quickly say, I want to say, getting back to what we're talking about, like these motherfuckers, these Fandom Menace guys, they hate watch everything that is coming out. As much as they have that they criticize, they'll watch everything that's coming out, and so who watch them, they'll watch everything too. And that's what I find kind of bizarre about these motherfuckers, because there's shows like the CW shows, I ended up getting exhausted watching them. I gave up. You know what I mean? It wasn't the fact that they had, woman, black man, Chinese man, none of that shit. I just gave up because it was just too much, too many episodes, too many television shows. I was exhausted. Wrestling. I used to love wrestling so fucking much. I kept complaining about how shit the product was. I moved on. I no longer watch wrestling anymore because, it's just not for me. If these motherfuckers have a problem with what's coming out, by Disney, then don't fucking watch it. You know what I mean? If you, it's simple as that. No one's forcing you to fucking watch it. You will fucking watch it. You will fucking complain about it. You will have issues about it. But at the end of the day, you're feeding the fucking thing that you have a problem with. You know, go on, Ginger.
Yeah, so prime example with me is I hated What If. I thought it was absolute rubbish, so I stopped watching it. Simple as that. Hawkeye, I just really, really quickly skimmed through it to get through it because it was just I had nothing against like Kate Bishop because I like her in the comic books. It was just a badly written show. That's all it is. That's my biggest complaint.
But
So I
your
didn't
issues
like
is
it.
not woman. Your issues is not woman,
No,
black man. You know, those are not your fucking issues. For
no.
these motherfuckers, it is their issue. You know, like, oh look, there's a fucking woman in this show. You're forcing an agenda on us. Look, there's a black man on this show. You're forcing an agenda on us. Even though black people and women have been in countless other shows prior to fucking social media even existing, they think that they're forcing an agenda on us, and that's my problem. Like, whatever they watch, they'll be fucking forcing an agenda on us. It's not surprising that the one show these motherfuckers do like is The Northman.
Of
You know,
course,
of course,
of
of
course.
course.
Big white
Yeah.
burly man slaying through the world. Yeah, of course they like that.
Yeah, of course they're gonna like that. And you know what? It is a good fucking film. Have you seen it?
I haven't seen The Northman, but I
It's a
will.
good fucking film, man. It's a good fucking film, but I'm not surprised that they like it in particular because of like there's not a fucking minority in fucking sight. You know what I mean? It's about the Nordic people. You know what I mean? The super Aryans and all of that shit. Of course
Yeah.
they're gonna fucking love that. You know what I mean? So I'm not surprised at all. But anything else, fucking agenda, and it really pisses me off. And I wish these motherfuckers would just stop watching everything else because they obviously have a problem with it.
Yeah, I mean, also they have to take into consideration now that in 2022 you're not going to get things like Lord of the Rings, for example. Look at the arguments being made in Lord of the Rings when they showed a black elf and all of that.
Yeah.
Okay, you're not going to get a show with millions and millions of people in a fantasy world and they're all white. All right, I know Peter Jackson did great sticking to the source material, but in this day and age now, it's just like, look, just there's no need for it. When it was written in 1953 by a white, upper class man, okay, it's different, okay, and let's not talk about how the black elves are depicted in the world of the Lord of the Rings because it's not nice. So saying that, oh well, there is a black race in there, yeah, but they're negatively depicted in that world, all right. So having like one black elf and a woman this and all of that, like my biggest issue I had with the Queen was that she didn't have a beard because obviously they say that the dwarves and it's hard to distinguish the men and the women. But I was corrected on that it was only used in one certain book of Lord of the Rings, but in other ones they are shown as different. So I was corrected on that, and that's fine. Move on. But in this day and age, don't expect something that was written like The Witcher and all of that is like Eastern European law and all this to just have just fucking white characters in it. It's not fair to actors out there that might be excellent for the role anyway and will fit perfectly in this world. You know, it's just not going to happen. Get over it.
Well, the thing is that what bothers me is that why is it not bad the other way? Because there have been roles for actors of other ethnicities other than white, which have gone to white actors. Like, for example, biggest one that I can think of recently was what was the film now? Was it the recent Hellboys film where
Hellboy.
the
Yeah.
actor, where he's going to go to a white guy, where the role in the comic is depicted as an Asian guy. The initially cast Ed Bryan, who's a white guy. He said he didn't realize that the role was an Asian guy, and once he found out, he said, "Do you know what? I'm going to back away and let an Asian guy do it." And they cast an American Asian guy, even though he's a British part, but he put on the accent. And he, again, problems with the film, he's part of the problem. But that's the thing is that there are always white guys who get black roles. Like, for example, I can't remember what film it was, but there's
Anything
a
Egyptian.
rule where
anything Egyptian, like that film of the gods,
Gods of Egypt.
Gods of Egypt.
Oh yeah, where it's Gerard fucking Butler, who barely disguised his Scottish accent,
and
that's a Sparta.
We had the mum, like any of the ancient scenes, like in forget ancient scenes. The Scorpion King. There's fucking white people everywhere, in ancient Egypt. And then, I mean, at least the thing is with people like myself and you guys, I might be a different race to you, but feature-wise, we're the same. Sometimes these motherfuckers are playing people who are different features race-wise. So you've had people like Christopher Lee, who, rest in peace, I love the guy, but nevertheless, Christopher Lee played Fu Man fucking Chew. You've had fucking John Wayne playing Genghis fucking Khan. You've had David Carradine playing a Chinese character as well.
It was famously replaced Bruce Lee originally.
Yeah, exactly.
In that.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is that, like, in the book, in the Lord of the Rings book, because I know you were talking about Lord of the Rings book, he never depicts the orcs as black. He never depicts the elves as white. He never depicts anything. He just writes it as he writes it. He writes some of the elves as being race specific, but not all of them. So you could have had different people of different ethnicities depicted. It's just because Peter Jackson didn't cast people like that, and I think that's the problem with Hollywood. It doesn't go enough to cast people of a diverse cast because they don't want this crap. They don't want people going, "How dare you have people who are diverse?"
It's doing that now. It is changing now. It is doing that kind
of that's something that I've
diversity quota and all of that. Sometimes it's a bit stupid when they do it, but a lot of the times it makes sense. Like I said, in big fucking things like Lord of the Rings, in that world, it can't be everyone white. I mean, how sick in the head are you to just want that? It's
the thing that I'd be, because I'm a big fan
fantasy.
It's fantasy. Like if there was a Greco fantasy, like in a recent TV series where they had like Zeus and Achilles as black, it's like, oh, who gives a shit? They're fucking fictional characters. Like, whatever. If they're white for the role. We have people like Tessa Thompson and Idris Elba, and we always openly say they could fucking play Jesus if they wanted to. They
were in that Madonna video,
and that loved that it doesn't matter if they play.
Oh, you should see what racist said to that.
Oh, that would be hilarious if Idris.
Remember the Madonna video with Black Jesus in that, dude?
Like a prayer. Like a prayer. Black guy who played Jesus. Oh, trust me, the racism about that was
horrific. Lost their shit when that happened.
I fucking loved it. I fucking loved it, man.
They lost their shit.
Guys, grow up. Jesus,
what is it about?
Jesus was black, white, we could read. No, it doesn't matter.
But let's wrap this up, boys. But basically, the overall message for these motherfuckers who, unfortunately for us, they need these things to hate on in order to keep themselves relevant. But if they're not hating, then they're not making. I guess they're not getting any clicks.
We don't often go down that route.
Yeah. If I didn't have a conscience, if I had no morals, I could be these. I could easily be these motherfuckers. I could be the sellout Asian guy. I am for some people being an atheist, by the way. But nevertheless, I could be the sellout Asian guy and fucking say how much I hate fucking seeing brown people on my screen and stuff like that. And there's only one brown person. It should be fucking me and no fucking else, nobody else. You know what I mean? I'm allowed to be the exception to the rules. Every other fucking brown person is fucking woke bollocks, and we shouldn't fucking allow it. I mean, I could go down that route, get myself fucking 100,000 subscribers, and sell my fucking soul and never be loud in Southall again. But no, I won't fucking do that shit. You know what I mean? I won't go there because it's just morally wrong, and it's just not who I am. I can't be this person. But for some people, it's very easy for them to be that because they have no morals.
Yep, agreed. Okay. So I think we're done. That was very good, guys. Love the rants by all. So yeah, I want to thank my hosts for joining me and ranting with me, and to all you man babies out there crying over a few seconds of a black woman in the suit and Lady Thor. Grow up. There's more important things to worry about in the world, like the cost of living crisis and Nazis blowing us up and all of that. So on that note, I'd like to say thank you all for watching, and Don't forget to subscribe to NerdTube, the greatest channel you're probably going to hear about after this, I hope. And that is all. Bye.